Alright, introduction. We got the Budgie welcome here. By the way, the system has already been customized by me, and I'll go through some of those things that are different with this, what I've done to this and versus how it comes. I've added a few applications. I've obviously changed the background. I've changed some of the size of the panels, and I'll touch on those as I go through. So what is Ubuntu Budgie? It's an operating system similar to Windows, OS X, Google Chrome, blah blah blah. So tells you what it is, tells you who made it, tells you a little bit about what a desktop environment, what applications come with it. Tells you that it's primarily open source. Unlike Windows, Linux is not created by just one company. Whole bunches. Okay. Features of Ubuntu Budgie. Pre-configured yet flexible. Yes, very flexible. You could use this thing straight out of the box, but it's very flexible. Built-in security. You could turn on the firewall and some other things. It automatically will update security updates. Sorry, it will automatically put in security updates as long as you have that turned on. Any system can get viruses and other infections, but it's rare. Its users are not super users by default, also known as root users or administrators. So that makes it very difficult for malicious programs to come in. Talks about some of the powerful applications: productivity, LibreOffice, entertainment, G-Thumb, Quick and Easy, GNOME MPV, Quick and Easy Media Player, and a whole lot more. Comes with a couple of silly little games. It also comes with Chromium as the default browser rather than Firefox. Chromium I have a problem with. Doesn't play an awful lot of videos, doesn't play DRM videos. Shorthand for what is DRM? Netflix, Hulu, etc. Which is why I download both Chrome and Firefox. You don't need both, could use just one. One would do it all. Getting started. Okay, browser ballot. Vivaldi is another one. I've not played with that very much. Customization. Okay. I've done this, but I'm going to go through them real quick. Okay, Budgie Desktop. Get to set widgets, icons, cursors, dark theme, light theme, desktop. Whether you want desktop icons, so if you want shortcuts on your desktop. Mounted volumes, so when you mount something, it shows up. Fonts. You can change the fonts of your that's up here and used throughout the system. Windows, button layout, pretty straightforward, not much to change there. Top panel, you can add tablets. I always add task list. You'll see these tasks up here. That's not automatic. I really like seeing the tasks that are running when I minimize things and want to be able to click right back over to it. Okay, so I like to put the task list up there. Settings. You can move it to the top, the bottom, left, right, wherever you want it. Size. I make it a little bit bigger on this laptop. I think 38 is the default. You can set it for automatically high. It's transparency. I have it for dynamic. You can even turn that off if you find that easier to read and easier to deal with. You can have shadows and blah blah blah. Okay, you can create a new panel. You can have a second panel down here at the bottom, or on the side, or wherever you want it. You can have multiple panels, 4 panels. Just bracket your whole screen if you're crazy like that. Auto start, plank, which is this here, starts up. Caffeine indicator, which is this little coffee cup here. Caffeine lets you turn, if you have lock screen on, timeout lets you turn it off manually so that the screen doesn't automatically blank out. So if you're watching a movie or watching something on the screen and you're going to be longer than the normal time, you don't want to blank out, you use the caffeine. You give the computer caffeine, I believe is probably what they're saying. Settings. Okay, this is your regular settings. Okay, you got the Wi-Fi, your Bluetooth, network. Network, that's where you, if you're using a VPN, that's where you would set that up. If you're plugged in with an Ethernet cable, this would indicate that. Background is where you choose the background. I loaded a bunch of Budgie wallpaper extras, so I have a lot more than what normally comes with it. This is a good fair amount. You could also download pictures and use pictures. As you see, I only have this one picture, which I use for Grub Splash in there. So, and you would just click once, it says select, and you can change the background. Notifications, that's this little bell up here, and what you want it to tell you, what applications you want it to notify you with. If I had an email program running, email would be one of the ones up there. Where you want it to search when looking for things. Region and language. You wanted this to be in Spanish. You could change that language easily enough. Universal access. If you have hearing or visually impaired, you can modify things so that it's easier for you to use. If you have a problem with hand-eye coordination, you can change the typing and the pointing and clicking. The online accounts, if you want to add these and have the system deal directly with those. Privacy. Screen lock. This is where you would do screen lock or screen on or off. I have it off. Location services. You don't want people to know where you are. Programs to know where you are. You turn that off. You want Google Maps to find you. You want, when you do a search in Firefox or Google Chrome, restaurants near me, you'll want that turned on. Usage and history, you can clear that at any point, or you can turn it off if you don't want it retaining any history. Purge trash and temporary files, you want to do it manually or automatically. Problem reporting, I leave it on automatic. You feel your privacy is invaded by doing that turn off. Sharing, this is not for file sharing. That's over on File Manager. This is for sharing the screen if you want someone to log in and be able to work on your screen. Sound. If you have an HDMI connected monitor, as I do, I can switch my sound over to that and everything comes out. So if I'm watching a movie and I want to blank this screen and throw everything on over there, and of course testing speakers and setting the volume. Okay, power. This is the regular power settings. There's a power statistics, which gives you a lot more information about the battery and the powers, but again, dim screens, blank screens, what to happen when you hit the button, going to suspend or what. If you had a Wacom tablet, anybody have Wacom tablets anymore? You can do that. Devices. This is where I have currently set for mirroring. I have a large monitor that I can see. You can change the orientation. So if you have one of those fancy monitors that you can rotate, you can rotate your monitor and rotate, change how it looks. Nightlight. This I don't know if this is going to show here on the recording, but basically there's a reddish hue that dims everything, and it's supposed to be better for your eyesight when running at night. Mouse and touchpad, where you can, if you're left or right-handed, you can change that, the speed, the scrolling, the touchpad sensitivity, speed, tap to clip, two-finger scrolling, edge scrolling if you like that turned on. I wish they would have one option here they don't have is turn off touchpad while typing. I wish they had that. If you have a smaller laptop, your hands tend to brush over the touchpad while you're typing, and your cursor jumps and wiggles all over the whole screen, and you've just erased an entire paragraph you didn't mean to erase. So I wish they had that. Printers. I have some printers on my network. It found them. Boom, right away. I would probably still need to load the specific drivers for those printers, but it found them and it's ready to use them. So removable media, what you want running when you load something. What is the default application? Color, if you wanted to play with the color, if you had some kind of visual thing that you wanted to have colors specific for you. And then finally down here, details. This is the generic about, kind of like what you see on Windows, I believe. Kind of just the basic system information, very, very basic, very straightforward. You can check for updates here. Lots of other places you could do that, but you can check for here. If you wanted to adjust the time zone, I have automatic time zone. I turn that on. It's default off, but I always turn it on. Date and time. If you want to do that manual time format, I prefer the 24-hour. Users. You would need to unlock this, which I'm not going to do here because I don't want passwords to show. And then you can change passwords. You can turn on auto login for the users. Default applications. You get your web, mail, if you had it, calendar, music, video, photos. Okay. Very straightforward settings. Okay. Updates and extras. Keyboard shortcuts. List all the keyboard shortcuts you have. These can be pretty powerful. Control Alt and Delete locks out on this. I've seen Control Alt N do end and END do the log out. Control Alt Delete doesn't reboot the system like you may be used to. It just logs you out. Okay. Updates and extras. It's another place to check for updates. Restricted extras. I've added them. These are so for the ability to play DVD, MP3, QuickTime, and Windows Media formats. drivers. Tells me we're ready to go. Tells you what graphics. Tells you the difference between them. Okay. Additional drivers. If you think you have some additional drivers you want it to find, click on that. It's going to look for them. I think it's going to find on this particular machine that I have a Broadcom Wi-Fi adapter. Linux has gotten significantly better over time finding Broadcoms and using their drivers, even though they're proprietary. This is also if you need to change where your main repositories are coming from. Server for United States on the Ubuntu server. So if you're having problems downloading things, you can find a better repository. You would other and then search on closest. This is showing the main, and because I'm using, I've loaded Google, it's going to check google.com for updates. So it's going to automatically update Google Chrome, even though that was not a standard install. How often you want it to do the updates, what you want it to do, security updates, download and install automatically. But you could change that if you really don't like that. You could turn it off. You could just have it display them and not run them. Authentication, additional drivers, we saw that. Developer options, which most people, if you're a developer, you're not watching this. Other than to criticize me, maybe. Language and input, input method, language support, if you needed to add additional language support. Optional tasks. Install backups, firewall. I don't have the firewall turned on at the moment. And configure users. Another place to do that. System specifications. And here's a little more detail than what we saw in settings. Boot mode shows that I'm running BIOS versus UEFI. So I've seen people say, oh, well, how do I tell if I'm running UEFI or BIOS? This is one place to find out. You can find it here under boot mode. Okay, and that's it for getting started. Recommendations. Flat pack. Different way of installing programs. Same with Snap. Different applications available. Snap is installed. Flatpak is not. Online store. Yeah. Everybody's selling something, right? Everybody's got the mercs. Is that what they call it? The merches? Mercs? Merchandise. Community. You want to get into the forum. You want to talk about Ubuntu Budgie Brazil. Okay. Ubuntu forums. Ask Ubuntu. Ubuntu Budgie. So you can get involved, or you can look things up. Oh, I'm sorry. Here's get involved. Thank you for your support. Give us money. Blah blah blah. And you know what? Why not support? This is all free. Donate. Not even going to click on that. There's donate. Okay. Install software. That's going to bring up the if you wanted to add some applets, the Software Center, Snapbacks, Flatpak apps. Okay. Budgie applets. That's kind of new. Okay. Quick note. That's kind of nifty. Screenshot applet. I can put screenshot on my plank if I'm going to be doing a lot of screenshots. System monitor. So lots of nifty little applets you can do. Software Center. That's this icon up here. Oh, and run updates from here. Look at everything that's installed on your system. Okay. Well, there's Google Chrome. Even though I started with a Debian package, it shows as being installed, so it could actually be removed from here. VLC. This VLC I installed with the Synaptic Package Manager. The VNC that installs from the Software Manager doesn't work properly. The Firefox that installs from the Software Manager doesn't work properly. So I installed both of those from Synaptic Package Manager, and they'll show up here as installed, and you could remove them from here, but they work significantly better than the ones available on the Software Package Manager. Default settings. So you can change your appearance here, themes, but as you see, there are other places to do that. Okay, so now I want to show Plank preferences before I go into and really show alright, where are you hiding Plank preferences? Probably utilities. Oh, alright, back to all. Find Plank preferences. There we go. So this is the Plank. I think that's Apple-like. That can be moved wherever you prefer it. Stick it down there on the bottom if you like. You put it up at the top, and you can move the panel to the bottom and flip that. On laptops, I kind of like it on the left because there's a little more left to right. Real estate than there is top to bottom real estate on a laptop screen. If you had multiple displays where you wanted to show, or you didn't have mirror, I have multiple, but they're mirrored. Center, you can put it at the start. You can fill it so it looks more like a panel. Put it at the end, or I keep it centered. I make it a little bigger. I believe it was 20 something or just 30 something. I make it a tad bigger. The icon sizes. You know, this icon zoom, this is kind of nifty to turn on, so that when you go over it, kind of like grows. Okay. Behavior. I have it in telehide, so if something pops up that sticks up over there, it kind of disappears, but normally it's always there. Lock icons. Alright, when you get all done setting up your panel and adding things to your panel, or removing things you don't want from your panel, you want to come in here and turn on the lock icon so you don't accidentally delete them. And if you take an icon and drag it out on the screen, it goes poof and disappears. Let's do one. and I'll put it back. So settings, poof. That's how you delete settings from there. Okay, let's put it back. So you right hand click, keep in dock, and now that'll stay there. That's how you add and remove items to the plank. Docklets. Okay, you can stick this little CPU monitor on here. There, right click, left click, doesn't matter, can't remove it this way. The only way to remove a docklet you've added is to do the drag and poof. Okay, let's close that. Now let's try and keep this quick. Told you about caffeine indicator, calculator, the calculator, files. That's the Nautilus file manager. If you ever need to know what the name of your file manager is, it's Nautilus. Same thing with the text editor. It's the Gedit text editor. Maps, simple maps, plank preferences, weather, games, a couple of silly little board games, graphics. I added GIMP, the new image manipulation program. It comes with these three: G-Thumb, LibreOffice, Simple Scan. Simple Scan works really good with scanners. If the system recognizes it and those Linux drivers, that brother I have works great. Click on Simple Scan, stick something in there, Simple Scan, boom, on my system. I really like that Simple Scan. Internet. Comes with Chromium web browser. I added Firefox via Synaptic Package Manager. The one that comes with via the software manager does not work very well. Gary Email. I prefer Thunderbird, but Gary Email is pretty good. Google Chrome, I've added that. Transmission BitTorrent. So if you want to use a torrent to download a movie or a large software package, and you had either a bit of a flaky internet connection, this will restart from wherever it is. Office, the LibreOffice Suite plus Calendar, sound and video. Comes with Cheese webcam if you want to take pictures with your webcam. This is the video, the default video player, GNOME MPV, Kazam. This is what I'm recording this with. Rhythm Box music player, VLC media player, a little more robust and feature rich than GNOME MPV. I prefer it. I downloaded it, and again, the one from the software manager didn't work very properly. Didn't work very well at all. So I had to remove it and install the ones from Synaptic Package Manager, and it worked fine. System tools. There's all the various. I'm not going to click on log out or restart, because whenever I do that and I have a video recording, it thinks I'm about to do it, so it stops the video recording. But these are kind of nifty here, in that you could click on these and then add them to your plank. So even if you weren't quite ready to log out, click on log out, add it to your plank. Now you've got restart or shut down or suspend on your plank if you prefer that, versus going up here for it. Okay, software, that's software. System profiler and benchmark. I add this. It's known as hard info when you're looking for it in Synaptic Package Manager. Hard info. Gives you a lot of hardware info, plus details on the operating system you're running, details on the kernel modules, languages that it supports, and it also does some benchmarking of your system. If you want to see how your system compares to others, you can do some benchmarking. Very good, cool program to have. Oh, I skipped right over P sensor. P sensor is for, I added this, it's for monitoring the temperature of your computer, the internal temperatures. Multi-writer, I also installed this. The USB, I think it's called backup image, I probably skipped right over it at some point. That comes with Ubuntu, I'm not a big fan of. I wish they had unit boot in. They do not have it in the software package, and they do not have unit boot in Synaptic. You would need to add the PPA and download unit boot in. Multi-writer, if you're only doing an occasional, making a USB live for a backup, multi-writer does the job. It's very slow, but it does the job. Administration, login, software updater, Synaptic, users. Preferences. You can set all the various preferences from here directly or through that settings. If you know exactly which one you're setting, you can go here. Where's one I wanted to show you? Menu editor. This is kind of cool. If for some reason you think you need to change this menu, this program will do that, and you can change your menu, rename things, reorder things, add something that wasn't added automatically. I very seldom see that happen though. Okay, I think we're done here with everything here. You can see it has utilities, archive manager for zips and tarballs. Need to do some specific things or find and use unusual characters. Disks. This is the disk program. It's fairly good, not quite as good as Gpart, but one thing you can do here, drive settings, write cache. This is almost always turned off. It's turned off on Windows, it's turned off on Apple. It's always by default turned on. So if you have one of those hard drives and it said, oh, we got 128 megabytes, we got 256 megabytes of write cache, guess what? You're not using it because it's turned off. You turn it on here and it will speed things up quite a bit. Unfortunately, there's a danger to having the write cache on. If you lose power, bink, power goes, you lose what was ever in the write cache, and so you might have you'll have some data loss and you might have a little bit of corruption. That's up to you. Turn it on, see if that's something you like. I'm sorry, I think I skipped right over it. No, I forgot to install it. Gpart is not installed. Okay, I'll need to install that. I think I checked it off my list too. I guess I was. Document viewer, screenshot. If you want to take a quick screenshot, you launch this and then keep it on your plank if that's something you're going to use a lot. System monitor. So this shows the file systems I have, resources, the CPU. Since I'm recording, I'm up in the 20% range. Same with the amount of memory I'm using. My internet's pretty quiet, just doing the occasional beep, are you there? Beep, are you there? Just like the task list in Windows, this way you could go through if you had something that's hanging you up and you needed to delete it, you could, or stop it, you could click on and then process. Yeah, I don't recommend unless you know what you're doing there. Tried to keep that quick. Don't know if it was as quick as it could have been, but there you go. There's my quick tour of Ubuntu Budgie 18.04.